The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hi, welcome to The Ring and All Other Sports. My name is Leo Connors, and I'm your host. And tonight, I got a very special guest. Good friend, old friend, James Allen from New World Wrestling Extreme. What's up, Jimmy?
Well, hey, what's going on, Leo? Long time, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while for sure. But there's so much to cover, and we've already talked. It's definitely going to have to do this more later when this is all over. Where did you grow up?
Where did I grow up? Well, I was raised in Central Falls, Rhode Island, growing up as a kid. And 1993, I moved to Blackstone, Massachusetts.
Okay.
And that's where I was for about 25, 26 years.
Nice.
You know?
All right. When did you first see pro wrestling?
Oh, God, probably 19, I would say 5 years old. And that was probably, God, I want to say 1982. I think I watched my first wrestling on TV. I think I was like 5 years old, you know? It was always,
Right.
it was one of those things like, the first time you see it's like, whoa, you can't get away from the TV. Your eyes are glued.
Right.
And then it just become a regular thing because it was a Saturday morning thing,
Right, yeah.
And so it was like, I think like the first wrestling I watched, I think it was like NWA,
Oh,
National
really?
Wrestling Alliance. Yeah, it was like the National Wrestling Alliance, and then the AWA. That was like the first wrestling I actually seen on TV. You know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah.
So
nice.
but I've been watching wrestling since I was 5, and I'm 42, going on 43 years old, and I've been in the business for 25 years.
Yeah, been around a long time.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, no doubt. And you're giving back too. All the stuff that you've done, and now you got your own company, and you're giving back. You know what I mean? You're giving back to the wrestling fans.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And wrestling's a big passion for me, and wrestling for many, many years, and then stuff like that. And then 2003 rolled around, and I was like, I want to start something. I knew I could be good at it because I had good mentors, and I dealt with the so I got the experience of learning. I got the experience of promoting bigger events, like ECW, just like helping set up and do different things like that. I used to do that with Tony Rumble all the time, and but I learned from some of the best to get it all in my mind here, and everything I've seen from around the East Coast, and different places that I've been. I've seen how everybody operated and how they, promoted, or they, how their shows were. And I put everything into that, and and everything else, that I learned over the years to get something going. And that's December 2003, New World Wrestling Extreme, made its first event in Blackstone, Mass, in my hometown that I lived for 20 something plus years.
Right. Yep. A lot of people don't know. I know you booked Kenny Omega way back when nobody else was booking him.
Yeah, Kenny Omega, we booked him. I don't remember the exact year it was. But yeah, Kenny Omega, and I believe he worked at the time was Tommy Knoxville, Mike McCarthy. The event was at the Patriot Lounge in Bellingham, Mass.
Yeah, and was it LB and Spaz there too? Because I was there.
LB and Spaz from WAAF was there, absolutely. Yep. Yeah, I mean we've had a few people that you see on the national level. I mean, even Mercedes, my
Yep. Martinez.
uh, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
No, not Martinez, not Martinez. Mercedes, the
Sasha
boss,
Banks. Sasha Banks.
Sasha Banks. Right, right, right. She worked one of my shows too. I have actually the poster somewhere.
Oh, that's cool.
So she's, and Kenny Omega, he was a cool dude. I think if I'm not mistaken, he came actually right from Canada when he was living up in Canada and stuff, because that's where
Yep.
he's from. And he was a total different worker than he is now.
Yeah.
He always had some great talent. Now he's phenomenal. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
we knew, even just the caliber worker he was back
Right.
then. We knew he was gonna be like something big down the road. That was a given.
Yeah.
Same thing with Todd Smith. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Absolutely. He was actually I was the second person that he met in the business. The first person he met, as far as the training goes, was with Jason Rumble when he first started. And I was actually the second guy that he met in the business. And speaking of that, when they were calling him Handsome Johnny?
Yeah.
Handsome Johnny. I actually, me and Jason Rumble owned the WrestlePlex in Woonsocket, the New England WrestlePlex. When he first started in the biz, we had a couple drinks that night. We were just screwing around and stuff. And I come on the microphone and I was like, Handsome Johnny. So that name actually stuck with him. And I was actually the first one to actually say it. So that name actually come from me just screwing around.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So he would tell you that. It was just, we go back and forth on it. I've had a lot of fun in this business, man. I tell you, I've seen a lot of different things. And, even when I was wrestling, in the NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance, Trooper Gilmore, I got to do a lot of touring and like up and down the East Coast. And, they believe it was the 53rd or 54th NWA convention, the anniversary show. I got a chance to represent the NWA New England down there as the tag team champions. And it was cool. I mean, we've done so much stuff, man. So many road shows.
What was that on? Was that Criminally Insane when you were the tag team champ at that show?
Yeah, it was me and the Outpatient, right? Yep.
You guys were good.
Yeah, you know how Criminally Insane started off. Criminally Insane actually started off not us tagging that night, but it started off in Wakefield at the Civic Center, the Wakefield Civic Center. We had a show there, and it was ended up being Ralph Lano there, or Ralph. You know who I'm talking about, right? A little short Italian dude.
Yeah. Yep, I do.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Well, he's in the military.
Yeah, great guy.
Ralph, and it was me, Outpatient, and him. It was actually a hardcore three-way match. Okay. And the whole thing with that was he because Outpatient's girlfriend was the manager of him back in the day. And he turned around and ratted him out and said, "Oh, his girlfriend's to Ellen," which was Tony's wife. Right. And she got all pissed off and said, "You got to get out of the locker room." But, she wasn't really directly in the locker room. So it kind of pissed him off. So we ended up actually tuning him up, kind of just like us two against him. So then Jason come up with that idea. And he's like, "Whoa, we're going to put you guys together." And that's how Criminally Insane was formed. Wow.
That's awesome.
We just, I don't know. We were annihilating people. That's all I can say. You know what I mean?
You had great chemistry. You really did.
We had a hot thing going on, and we did that for a little while. And we actually, I believe we were 2-time tag team champions
Nice.
for them. So,
Yep.
it was cool. You know what I mean? We've done a lot of things. And, when Tony was around, he once told me, he says, because I've done multiple characters. He says, in the business, your character's going to change a half a dozen times. And he was right. Because my character, the first character that I ever did in my life, it was called Sergeant Yukon the Mountie. And that's when I first started. I was actually, I did like a Mountie type character. And then that didn't last long. Then I went to the Stormtrooper. And then when I started in NWA, which was actually Central Wrestling Alliance, November 1st, 1996, at the Revere Fieldhouse, I was up there with the two midgets, Tiny the Terrible and Half Nelson. I gave them a ride there, okay? And they didn't give me the gimmick name. I just did a job thing with those guys. And they had Johnny Rodale as their manager. And they called me Jimmy Rich. I was just Jimmy Rich.
Yeah.
And took a tune-up shot. And all of a sudden, bring your gear to the next show. We'll see what we can do for you. I did that about 3-4 times. And then before I know it, I became, a member of the Central Wrestling Alliance. And I was always on the shows. And, one thing led to another. And I got tight with Tony. And Tony, Tony just basically would call me up on the weekends. Hey, what are you doing, Rubberneck? Come and pick me up. We got things to do. Da, 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 da. And you just did it because he was the boss. You know what I mean? You did what the boss told you to do, And, but, I basically, become a family member and, invited me into his home. I used to take him all over the place. And, it's like, it's been a rush of a ride through this whole wrestling career of mine and promoting and doing different things and the people that I've met and the matches that I've seen, it's been incredible,
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, we're gonna just talk for a little while. I'm taking the script and putting it down because I'm enjoying the stuff you're talking about, and we'll get to the fan questions in a little bit. I gotta ask you. I talked to you at the beginning and said you wrestled Abby. You said you wrestled him once. I met Abdul the Butcher once at Sports World with Phil.
Yeah,
nicest guy in the world, right? Thank God he didn't have the razor blades on his fingers. When you wrestled him, did he blade you or did you blade yourself or anything?
Here's the thing, right? I was with Tony for a good portion of time before I actually even worked him. We had a show in Augsburg, New York, and that was probably in front of over 8,000 people. And it was actually a week after WCW actually did a show up there at a place called the Golden Dome. And I didn't know who I was gonna, work that night. And all of a sudden, guys were busting my balls. A lot of them like to bust my chops all the time. I can take it. You know what I mean? He's like, "Oh, you're gonna work Abdul the Butcher," and I'm like, "Who the hell's Abdul the Butcher?" I didn't really,
Yeah.
I knew who he was, but it's like, it's like what are you guys talking about? And they're showing me in a book, and then this and that. I'm looking at it. And as I'm looking at it, this dude comes walking in the room, large pizza, big cigar, like that big, that round, freaking 3-piece suit. I'm like, now I'm only a young guy then. I'm only I don't know, probably 18 years old or something. I'm like, holy shit, I'm gonna die tonight. So they were like, nah, we're only joking. So I didn't work it. I was kind of relieved because, I didn't, you got to see the scars and the thing. And here's the thing with this. That guy liked me, okay? He was getting ready to do whatever he was doing. He takes his wallet, his big handkerchief thing that he wore, put his ring on it, all right, to tie it, hands it to me and told me to hold it. You're responsible for it. Okay? I'm like, oh, boy. Like, he just met me, but he seen I was a good guy, and and all this stuff. So, and I held it while he went out and did his match out there in Augsburg, New York.
Right.
So probably about, I want to say about a month goes by, we got a show at the Chelsea Armory, Sergeant Street Armory, I believe it is.
Yep.
And I'm in the locker room. It's a double shot. It's like 2 matches that night because they're doing TV and stuff. And here I go on the card again. Well, back then it was a Stormtrooper. It didn't change yet. And it was Boom versus Abdullah the Butcher. Now, that night, he actually worked Jose Venezuela that night. And I was the first one that he worked that night. And this is my whole take of it. The whole take is like this. I had an option of not doing anything with him, okay? To me, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to take it to the guy. He's like, you know how to blade? I said, I never did it before. I was told, he says, you don't do it, I'm going to juice you. And I'm like, okay. So, needless to say, it wasn't a full-blown match. I went out to the curtain, went down the walk, where all of a sudden I got smashed from behind with a chair, fell to the floor, okay? And the guy's just taking the chair and jamming it with me. Bow, 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 bow. All of a sudden, I'm like this. I'm like, I don't see nothing coming. I'm fucking like, because I'm scared because he's got a fork. He's got all this shit.
Oh, yeah,
and I didn't know what was going on. He turns around, flips the chair, whacks the referee. Doobie the ref.
Yeah.
Like Doobie. All right. Yeah. Whacks the referee. All of a sudden, I won by disqualification. All right. So,
yeah.
I honestly, I didn't beat him 1, 2, 3, but I actually have a win over him by disqualification. And honestly, I'm the only one in New England that, while working for Tony, that has a win over Abdullah the Butcher.
Wow, that's funny. That's awesome.
You know what I mean? So, and after that, I was in with Tony. Like there was like they were just like, wow, this young kid went through with this, didn't have no problem. And, and I just went through it. I bled like, dude, I bled so much. Dude, he was like sticking his hand up there and my fucking eyeballs and all this crazy shit, man. I was just like, that I got through that. I was just like, wow, what a rush that was, man. I had I literally had the scars still. Well, you can't really see them too much, but they used to be like a cross in my head. And I remember coming home that night. Remind you, I was young, and my mother goes, "What the hell did you do to yourself? You a fucking idiot? You a fucking asshole?" You know what I mean? Because I was all gigged up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she just didn't understand. She's getting used to, her son going out that she don't really got the idea, like what the hell's going on. But now I'm coming home all cut up and juiced up. You know what I mean? So, but I was like, hey, it just happened, But ever since that day, honestly, Tony called me up every weekend. What are you doing? We got things to do. Come up to Boston. Come on, come and get me. Friggin'. We go down to Molly Malone's, The Sting, and New Britain, Connecticut to do ECW, set up, all that stuff. Even got told to bring my gear just for, in case somebody didn't show up, they needed a guy to get in there and get his ass kicked. I would have went in there. You know what I mean? No big deal. Never happened, but on 2 separate occasions, I had my gear ready to go. It just didn't happen,
Nice. That's awesome. You you said you talked to you wrestled Bundy a lot, you said.
Bundy, every time he practically came to New England to Tony, I was basically working Bundy. I probably wrestled between 13 to 15 times. I wrestled King Kong Bundy. All right.
Wow.
And majority of the time I was main event with him, and there was sometimes where there was a mid-card thing. And there was one time in Ridgefield, Connecticut, we did an opening show. It was me and your buddy Joel Davis. I heard all about that.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you a story. So, yeah, I'm going to tell you something about that story. You're probably going to go off the heated line. But anyways, we're in Ridgefield, Connecticut, and Bundy, Chris, he did not like Joel whatsoever.
Right.
Did not like Joel. Okay? Joel was trying to shoot with Bundy. And we had the opening contest that night. It was a handicap match. We had another show. Me and Joel and Bundy, we actually had another match in another part of Connecticut somewhere. And I think it was in New Britain or something. We had 2 shows that day. It was like Ridgefield, Connecticut, whatever. So we went out, did the match. I always got along with Chris. I talked to Chris on the phone. We became friends. You know, I've used him on my own shows for New World Wrestling. But anyways, he's in the match. He's not selling Bundy at all. He's not selling Bundy. Bundy gets pissed. He punches him right in the face. Joel goes flying through the second ropes, right onto the floor, face and all. Bang! The fucking, it was like, he hated Joel Davis. Hated Joel Davis.
Funny.
Yeah,
That's
but
right.
I never seen a big guy at 465, 475 pounds, hands bigger than mine, and I got some big hands. Turns around and just clocks him, falls right through the ropes. Bang! I was like, "Damn, where'd you go?" You know?
Yeah.
But he ended up but here's the thing. He ended up taking him out that night in the show than taking me out. He pinned him instead. Yeah. He did not like him. He did not even like him.
And it's funny. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, too, right? Then we go to another show, and I ended up working Joel Davis at the next show that night. Okay?
Right.
They had a ring. They had a ring with a bolt on the outside of the post. Okay? And we didn't know what was there. I took Joel's head and jammed it. I split his head wide open, though. Right?
Wow.
Fucking gig. I mean, I'm talking about bleeding. All right? Put a hole right in his head.
That's crazy.
You know?
Yep.
Dude, I thought some crazy shit, man. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I can tell you road stories that would, I don't know. I don't even think it's not even PG, bro.
No, yeah, we'd have to wait. We're gonna have to wait on that. Listen, why don't we'll try to get through some fan questions. All right?
All right, that's fine. I'm cool with that.
All right. Here's a good guy right here, Joe Bruin. Joe Bruin wants to know, what would you say has been your biggest accomplishment in pro wrestling?
Well, I mean, one of my biggest accomplishments, and I mean, I have a few. You know, an accomplishment I had, I got to become NWA New England champion. Right. You know, I was the National Wrestling Alliance New England champion for a short period of time. I got to headline ESPN with Tony Rumble and the Brotherhood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Outside the line.
That was cool.
Right?
Yeah, outside the line, America's Hold On Pro Wrestling. With,
that was awesome.
With Greg Gerber. Yep. And,
you
know, the thing is with that is, too, it wasn't even DVDs out yet. I have all my stuff on VHS. But I think, like, one of my big highlights is actually basically becoming a promoter and knowing the business and knowing what the fans want and producing that. But, you know, when I started, running my company back in 2003, I didn't have nothing. I didn't have equipment. I rented everything. You know, I was new at it. You know, even like telling people who's going over, I was nervous about it. You know what I mean? Because I was still learning, but I knew I had what it takes. And 17 years later, we're still here and we're climbing that mountain. And,
absolutely.
You know, honestly, I think, you know, to where we're going to go until this pandemic started, this whole COVID-19, we have 6 shows lined up. Okay? Wow. 6 shows lined up. I go from 2 to 6. And we actually took a big investment this year. Probably invested, I would say, about $7,000 in
Nice.
about 3 months or so.
Right.
But we do everything by ourselves. We don't have no backing like some of these wrestling companies out there. They have backing. They have people that are putting money in their hands. You know what I
Right.
mean? We don't
Yep.
have that. We're doing things the way we got to do. I just so happen I'm fortunate enough to have some good close friends around me that help me do this. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Between buying a brand new ring, buying guardrails and a trailer and a big trailer, a 24
Right.
footer, you know? So
Yep.
I think where I'm at right now and being the promoter of New World Wrestling Extreme, I think this has probably been my biggest accomplishment as far as in the wrestling business. And I enjoy doing it, and we ain't going nowhere, you know?
Right.
Our whole goal is to go to higher heights and just keep
Right.
on moving. You know what I mean? But mind you, though,
Absolutely.
that we're not funded or nothing like that. If I had the
Right.
funded and there was money thrown my way, and I had other type of situations, and the product that we have and the
Right.
talent we have, it could be something real big. But we're doing it all from our own pockets. It's not nothing
Right.
thrown at us. So it's we're moving along.
Nice. Well, I have to say this, and I have to congratulate you because Joe Bruin is going. You have been an inductee in. After this is all over, you will be inducted into the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. Congratulations
Yes,
on that. For sure.
I appreciate that. That's it's when he told me that he was doing it, I was like, wow. It's been a long time. I mean, I thought it would have happened, a couple years ago. But you know what they say. When your time's ready, your time's ready. When they decide to
Right.
do it and they do it, your time's right. But I'm definitely proud of that, and I actually made a decision today, and I actually contacted to him because we have actually a history, and this is speaking of the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame,
Okay.
because we've been on many roads together. Jason Rumble has actually had a big influence in my wrestling career also,
Yep.
because he's the one that's got, he's the one that's brought me to the NWA, to different territories around the way, more so, and working in the different territories. And I got a chance to probably work in about 24 states. You know what I
Nice.
mean?
Yeah.
And this was when he was the NWA Junior Heavyweight Champion.
Yep.
I got to work for, NWAs out in Ohio, West Virginia, Florida, Georgia, all up and down the East Coast,
Right.
and, I was the ride guy, and we were basically kind of like peas and carrots, man. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's, even when we're up here and he took over NWA New England, and it was always me and him. We were driving
Right.
around in my 1992 Ford van, hanging posters, doing that. I just started thinking. But anyways, I asked him if he'd be have an honor to induct me into the New England Pro
Nice.
Wrestling Hall of Fame. And
That's
he
awesome.
agreed that he would take that honor and do so, which I'm very happy with that. Me and him, we've had some, kind of beefs and some things that I thought, and he might have thought some things, and I'm not going to really get into,
Right.
logistics of it. But,
Yeah.
whatever the case may be, it's water under the bridge. We move forward.
Nice.
We've always been brothers. We just had,
Yep.
like me and Bo Douglas. Me, Bo Douglas, and Jason, we were always like
Yep.
like the crew right there, And,
I met you
got
guys
the
all
guy-
at the same time.
Right. And I was actually in NWA Central Wrestling Alliance about a year and a half before they came in. I was already there. When I was there, then these guys come in, and it was Jason Slick, and Louis Ortiz. when they were the 2K club, the three
Yep.
whatever that they were called. And
Yeah,
then
2K
Bo
club.
came in. Right. And then after that, Mike King came in.
Yep.
Apocalypse, as we know.
Yep.
And we were actually a tag team, the 5-0. Me and
Yes.
Mike King. We were actually a tag team. But
Yep.
that was kind of like the crew. And then, Mike King was always the attitude guy. I hate everybody type of deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And me and him, we actually had a love-hate relationship. You know what I mean? But we were always cool. And the brotherhood that we had there with all these guys, we all stuck together. You know what I mean? Nobody messed with us. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep. I sure do. And everyone's doing their own thing. If you notice, right? Jay does his own thing promoting shows. You do. Slick does. Mike helps out up at APW. You know what I mean? Along with Luis Ortiz does that too up there. I mean,
right.
You guys are everywhere helping everyone. Bo down with helping out with UFO and Dante Luna. You guys all give back.
Yeah. Yeah, we're all giving back. And the thing is, it's funny you say that. Now that I think about it, we're all boys that hung out. We're all doing something kind of promoting wise.
Yeah.
Which is cool,
Absolutely. And I'm glad to hear that Jay's going to induct you. I'll be there that day for sure. All right, so listen, Joe has another follow-up. Joe wants to know, who was your favorite to work with over the years? And did you have a favorite venue to work out of?
Favorite person at work? I mean, that's, it's kind of hard to say. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I had an actual favorite.
Right.
I mean, one thing I got used to was working King Kong Bundy. I know that. You know what I mean? That was, I have to kind of think about that. But my actual favorite venue to actually work in for NWA New England was Good Time Sports Emporium. All right. In Somerville. And I'll tell you why, because it was like NWA New England Central Wrestling Alliance's home base. That was like you knew when wrestling was going there, you knew it was NWA New England. That there wasn't no other companies that worked in there. It was a good place. We started actually out in the arcade part of it, the first couple shows, and they had these giant pool curtains, and they would pull these curtains to keep it, separate and stuff. And then before we know it, we moved into a private room where we actually started doing a lot of TV tapings and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
We used to do a lot of tapings over there. Now, and the thing is, even being there too, we got to watch some serious matches by the National Wrestling Alliance, as far as Gary Steele taking on Ogawa, for the heavyweight National Wrestling Alliance title. There was a lot of memories up in that facility, and it sucks that place is gone, because I think if that place was still there, I honestly think you'd probably right now, you'd probably see like a chaotic run in there. You know what I mean? I truly feel that. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Or even not even chaotic. It might even UFO. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But I mean, definitely Good Time Sports Emporium, because that was just like one of them things. We always had shows there. Now, when I was wrestling all the time through 96 to 2002, I would say 01, especially with Tony all the way to 99. I mean, I was wrestling 8 times a month sometimes, all over the place, from Maine to Mass to New York, and all different places, Connecticut. I mean, we were just like, we were rolling. We were at the dealerships in Connecticut. Wallingford, Connecticut, Toyota of Wallingford. We were doing shows down there,
Yeah, definitely. I remember reading the results in magazines and stuff like that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see. Bo Douglas wants to know, tell the story about the WrestlePlex or our ride to Pennsylvania for that Rocky Reynolds tournament.
Rocky Reynolds tournament.
Now,
Yeah.
Robbie Reynolds, if I'm not mistaken, is the guy that swapped the belt with Jason a couple times, right?
Yeah, they worked. They worked multiple times.
Yeah.
See, he's not giving me like well. There was a couple times. I think it was one time. It was me, Bo, and Jason on one, and I remember going. Man, there's so many different trips. But there's one that me and Bo. I think it was me and Bo. We went on a trip somewhere, and we actually borrowed my friend's car. It was actually a 1994 Monte Carlo. And the weather was bad, okay? And we were going, and me and Bo's always fought like brothers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We always argued like brothers, and we were going through. I think it was like I want to say it was like Buffalo or Syracuse, New York, or something like that. We were both like tired. We had a show like the night before, I think, and we were at each other's throat, man. We're going down this hill. I'm driving. All of a sudden, I lose control of the car. I did like a 360, okay, down the hill. I'm talking spiral action. Going down the hill, caught the car, going back the right direction. I don't know how I did it. And both of us, we're like pumping up. We're both at each other's throat. They're gonna kill us, throat. Well, we're fucking Again, we get down. I think we were in Pennsylvania somewhere. Yeah, we were in Pennsylvania. We were in Titusville, Pennsylvania, and it was snowing like a mother. And I'm talking. Excuse my language. I just gotta say it the way it is. It's a shoot, right? So we're going down, and we kept on like I noticed. Like I turned around. I said, "Listen, dude, you keep running your mouth or whatever the case may be. I'm going to leave you right here, man. I'm going to take off. I'm going to leave you stuck down in Pennsylvania." He goes, "You do that, I'm going to kill you, dude. I'm going to kill you." Like we were going at it. But that was like a story. It was like crazy story, you know? And there was another time we were in like me, Jason, and somebody else. We're in like New York. And he had to go to the bathroom. Like on the side of like these mountains. I think we were on like 89, 87 out in like Western New York somewhere. I don't even know. And it was like strong wind. He said, "I'm like, yo, man, I got to take a piss, man. I got to take a piss." Pull over on the side of the highway, right? This dude turns around, standing on the hill. He almost got blown down the hill in pitch black. And it was all trees, no guardrails, no nothing. The hill was like this.
Wow.
Dude, it was like so funny. Like we've had so much good times, man. We had like so many good times.
That's awesome. So Jason wants to know. Jason Rumble wants to know, who was your favorite road buddy?
Jason was actually. We had some fun with Jason. I would have to say Jason was my favorite road buddy because he was the type like we'd especially be going down to Florida. Okay, and it'd be me. I'll just give you an example of one time. It was me, him, outpatient. Now Jason, I think it was a 94 or a 96 Chevy Lumina, all tinted up. It'd be me and outpatient up in the front, outpatient driving the car. This is when he had long hair, like some crazy shit. And he'd be having a window and I'm in the passenger side. Jason's in the back. Got the pillow. He thought he was like camping and shit. You know what I'm saying? All set up, all nice and shit. And he'd be like, we'd be just driving, outpatient be tired. All of a sudden you hear him go, "Pull over that way." It's like out of the clear blue. Pull over to that McDonald's. We're going over curbs and all kinds of shit. You know? I mean, it's like, that would just be him. He'd just be in the mood of like what he was doing. You know what I'm saying? And that would just point, like out of nowhere, eyes popping out of your head, man. Just a funny dude, man. And just everything he, like, we've had like definitely a lot of good times, man. I tell you, like hotel fun, all kinds of stuff, you know?
Right.
But I tell you one thing, like that dude can eat. He's a small dude.
Yeah.
Jason can eat. All right, that dude, you see him eat, man. Honest to God, I used to stay at his house. He'd eat
Right.
2 peanut butter sandwiches, a bowl of oatmeal at like 10 o'clock at night. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Fucking dude is like, I was like crazy. He'd eat more than I do. He'd eat more
Right.
than I do. And I was like, at that time, I was probably like 285. And he's got like, you're like $180 or something, and you're like chowing the way you do. You know,
Yeah.
he's always been a good. Like I said, we had our little, our little things and stuff like that. But we got out of it. But he's always been a favorite road person. And like I said,
Right.
he's, for him, I got a lot of work with the National Wrestling Alliance. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because of
Yeah,
him.
definitely.
He's just been an overall girl dude. You know what I mean? And I've nothing but love for the dude. You know what I mean? That's why I asked him to induct me into the Hall of Fame when that time comes.
Right.
Because, if you think like with him, it was Tony I was always with, and then Jason stepped up to the plate, took the NWA New England over, did a pretty good job. He did the best thing he could.
Yep.
And I went from Tony to him, and it just kind of glided in. Even with the NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance Tag Team Champions, the Brotherhood, I actually took them on road trips. You know what I mean? Because Tony asked me to take his Tag Team Champions to, shows. And we did Ohio and West Virginia. And here's the thing, right? When I did it for them and brought them on tour, I did the same tour with Jason a few years later, working for Richard Oppen and other people.
Wow.
The same tour people. It's just funny how everything kind of glided into each other.
Yeah.
It's almost like history repeated itself,
Absolutely. I want to say, I think the very first time I seen you wrestle, I think you were teaming with Steve Morabito, and you were taking on the Brotherhood of Knuckles Nelson and Eric Frazier. Now, did you team with Morabito to take on those guys?
I teamed up with Morabito probably, quite frequently. But I mean, I definitely tagged up with him a few times. I know. He probably, if I was like with tagging up, I think they put us together majority of the time. My whole thing was I got my ass kicked by the Brotherhood quite frequently. When I started training back in like late '94 into '95, because I started like before Christmas, and then we like took a break, and then we started straight up. I think it was January 5th, 1995.
Wow!
I really got rolling with it. Where the hell am I going with this?
With team with Morabito.
Yeah. So, So I got trained. This is where the training thing is going to come from. I got trained with Ali, Anthony Rufo there.
Yes.
And Jose Perez and those guys. I got like training with them guys. But a lot of my wrestling training was actually in-ring action. And that's why I was with the Brotherhood a lot. And they, kind of like the way I felt that back in those days, like they hated me. They didn't really like me or something. But I was young and I didn't know how to take it because of the way I was.
Right.
But they were basically showing me tough love. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I used to get my ass kicked by the Brotherhood all the time. And I used to, I headlined with them on ESPN with those guys, with Tony and stuff, kicking my ass and all that good stuff. But with those guys, they actually taught me a lot about the business. They were like the big brothers that I didn't have. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I never understood why I was being treated the way I was being treated. And it was basically they were showing me the wrestling business in a different way. You know what I mean? But they put us with Steve Morabito a lot. I was with him all the time. But they treated him a little different. They used to like whack him a little different. I don't know what it is.
Really?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I've had friggin' wood broken over my head. I've had all kinds of stuff. I did whatever the hell I was told to do. That's what it comes down
Right.
to. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But
Well,
I've it's like I said, it's been a crazy ride, man. That's all I can say.
all right. Well, we got about 12 minutes left. Let's try to answer a few more fan questions. Jerry Lane wants to know, what are some of your favorite memories working in NWA New England?
Who's the person asking?
Jerry Lane.
Jerry Lane?
Yep, Jerry Lane.
Yeah,
Yep.
I know that. I know. And what
You
was
know,
the question again? What was the question?
What are some of your favorite memories working in NWA New England?
Like good times or matches? Does it matter?
Doesn't matter. Whatever your favorite memories.
Well, I had a lot of good times. See, I was the young guy with a lot of the older guys, and I've had a lot of fun times with, like, especially with like tag teams like Public Enemy, Johnny Grunge. You know, we were doing shows up in Jay in Auburn, Maine, Lewiston, Maine, up that way, and they actually brought me into my first bar as I was like 20 years old or something like that, or 19 years old at a college bar. You know, hanging with all these guys, doing Augsburg, New York, hanging with all the brothers, and just like living the, I wouldn't say like straight up party life, but it was like we did business and we had fun. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was like a total brotherhood of, and I got to experience a lot, and I got to experience meeting a lot of new people and, you know, some real serious people, and I got along with everybody, you know, and it's just, and the thing is feeling like you're a part of a family, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like the way I felt like about what Tony was like the father I never had. I didn't grow up with a father. My father wasn't there, so Tony kind of was like right there with me and stuff, and he showed me a lot of different things, you know, and it's like I remember all that stuff. And even like the time, like when they actually called me up and told me that he passed away, I thought they were ribbing me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Jeff Cass, Jeff, they used to play a lot of jokes on me and stuff and bust my chops. And Jeff Cass called me up to tell me that, and it's just like it literally hit home. You know what I mean?
Right.
But like one of the good funny times that we did when I first started with them, we were doing some segments at the old Melrose studio with Pat. I can't remember his last name.
Doyle. Pat Doyle.
Pat Doyle, right?
Yeah.
They literally had, you know, this is when I transformed into Trooper Gilmore. And they actually, literally, we were doing interview segments and stuff. They literally bought a dozen of donuts, okay, and had me eat a dozen of donuts, okay, because I was the cop guy, this and that, and they had the picture of the camera on the bathroom, men's room, this and that, going like this, and hearing the toilet flush. I literally had to eat a dozen of donuts. Okay.
Wow.
And it was crazy. It was like did all kinds of stuff. Even doing the rumble seat, getting whacked in the head with the helmet. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
I was just one of those guys because I did whatever I was asked to do, and I never complained about it. I just did it. I didn't care what it was. You know?
I still remember where I was when I heard that Tony died. I was at a Jeff Costa show in Nashua, and one of the guys came over. I think it was Kevin Butcher Hughes came over to tell me, "Hey, man, Tony Rumble passed away." It was just a sad day for everybody, man. I mean, these guys, grown men, were so sad that, like, Kevin Butcher Hughes, Jeff Costa, all those, you know what I mean? Ripper, Mav, everybody was sad that night.
Yeah, Maverick Wild.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember that. That day was just that was a day that I'll never forget, man. I literally broke down crying at the kitchen table. I just couldn't take it. It was just like my heart broke in half.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. I could imagine. Seriously, you guys were very close.
Oh yeah. You know, and it's just, you know, but like I said, even like with New World, I take everything I learned from him. I take everything I learned with Jason. We worked together doing things. We ran the WrestlePlex. You know, I helped
Yep.
a lot with NWA New England. I put everything that I had and I have in the business to produce what I got today. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yep.
And you know, but I've had a lot of fun in this business. There's been some crazy times, let me tell you. There'll
Oh,
be some like things.
absolutely.
Oh wow, I can't believe, like, oh my god, man, like crazy stuff, man, crazy.
Listen, Dave Fournier wants to know what was your favorite character to perform? Trooper Gilmore, Big Paulie Gilmore, or Crazy Chainsaw Bastard?
Um, well, Trooper Gilmore was. I want to, you know, I love playing the Trooper Gilmore, and you know, and like I said, you know, Tony used to say your gimmick's gonna change.
Right.
All right. Now I stopped doing Trooper Gilmore because Tony Rumble named that character. Okay.
Right.
So when Tony passed away, I just didn't feel the need to do it because my name, Trooper Gilmore, was an NWA Century Wrestling Alliance household name. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
Yes.
I kind of just let it slide, and then Jason come up with this idea to go back to my roots, and I started with the Big Paulie Gilmore gimmick.
Yep.
That was good for, you know, a long period of time. Then I started tagging up with Jimmy Jack Cash down the road. We were called the Men of Business.
Yes, I
We
remember
did
that
that.
too.
Yeah, so I mean, we did that for a little while, and then I don't really want to mention his name, but an old booker of mine.
Okay.
I kind of have some personal heat with him
All right.
over some personal stuff. But
Okay.
anyways, he come up with the idea. You know, he had this mask, and you know, we built that, and we became Crazy Chainsaw. And Outpatient Me became back a team again, and we were called Slaughterhouse.
Yes.
And you know, as far as I always loved to work with Jeremy, aka the Outpatient, because we had
Right.
multiple tag teams together as Criminally Insane, and but Slaughterhouse, Chainsaw, the Outpatient was different. It was more. It was like a wild scene. And the day we actually debuted was actually the day after Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the beginning, debuted. So like literally when we came through the curtain, blown smoke, all crazy stuff. No, the crowd was nuts. Kids running everywhere, help me, like screaming and all
Right.
this crazy stuff. So I mean, Trooper Gilmore was my real good character I loved to do. But I stopped it because of the passing of Tony. And
Right.
then I found my way to other characters. But I love playing the crazy chainsaw character. So
Yep.
I would have to say, if I had to choose, it would be Trooper Gilmore because that was
Okay.
my household name,
Right.
and Crazy Chainsaw because it was just exotic. It was crazy. It was
Right.
just out of this world, you know.
Right.
So, but I mean, household name Trooper Gilmore. If I could get one more run, I would do Trooper Gilmore. One more run
Nice.
out
I'd
of
love to
anything
see it.
that I do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I'd love to see it, but Jimmy, I hate to say it, but we're running out of time. But you got enough time. Why don't you plug all your social media?
What's that?
Why don't you plug your social media? Tell everybody where they can find you, like Facebook,
Oh yeah.
Instagram.
We're on all social media. Facebook, New World Wrestling Extreme. We're at Twitter at NWW Extreme. Also, at New World Wrestling Extreme on Instagram. I'm James Allen on Facebook. Um, And you can also, new websites coming out. You can probably get some stuff. There's still some more stuff being updated. NWWExtreme.com is like basically ready. We just still have some updates and stuff like that. And, you can find me all over the place. And you can hit me up on Messenger, whatever works for you.
All right, Jimmy, thanks, man. Listen, I'll be in touch with you. I'll hit you up later on this weekend or something to say hello, but I want to thank you for coming on, and we'll do this again.
Yeah, man. Let me know when this is going to be up. What are you going to have this up on YouTube?
Yeah, as soon as I can get it. As soon as the studio gets it back to me, I'll tag you in it. You'll have it up as soon as I get it.
All right, man. And I'll share the shit out of that stuff.
All right, thanks, Jimmy. I appreciate it. Take care of yourself.
All right, brother. Take care, man. Have a good one.
Bye-bye. You too.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.